Russia just did a practice launch of an ICBM missile, and a lot of people are freaking out. Today I want to explain why this is potentially a problem, but why the United States is not extremely concerned about this. But you need to understand what is going on. Look at this. It says Russia directs drills of Russian nuclear forces as his summit with Trump is put on hold. Now, what does this mean? Well, just the other day we learned that President Trump and Vladimir Putin would not be meeting in Hungary in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That was originally what was supposed to happen, and well, they say it's been put on hold because there is some progress. We don't know if there's progress being made in this conflict between Russia and Ukraine, or are we seeing progress with Russia potentially causing other conflicts outside of Ukraine? That's where some say is the most concerning threat. But I want to play you this. Here's a clip. Russia has published video of their nuclear drills. Look at this right here.
Вперед, 6,5 и есть пускай скорости.
Крен 0, декрет 0.
Давление в системах ОВД гидравлики в норме.
Значит, командир, есть нормальные условия старта?
Есть расчет.
Now, obviously, you see stuff like that, and for most people, they completely freak out. Why is Russia doing this? Well, here's what I can tell you, okay? Just to be 100% transparent, that this could be an escalation. But I want to read something to you. One person wrote, by conducting such a large and visibly comprehensive exercise of nuclear forces, Russia is just sending a message. And that message could be to the United States. And they could be telling President Trump, do not send a Tomahawk missile to Ukraine. Because that Tomahawk missile, yes, it could do us damage, but guess what damage we could cause to Ukraine? Yeah, it would be substantial if they decide to use a nuclear weapon to hammer Ukraine. That would be devastating. I want to read you something else. Why should the United States be concerned with all of this? Well, here's the reason why. The reason why is simple, because Russia is doing this at a very interesting time. When the United States and Russia just decided the other day that they're not going to sit down and have a meeting, not a face-to-face meeting. They already had a phone conversation last Thursday, lasted about 2 hours. President Trump said there was progress. They also had a face-to-face meeting in Alaska where Vladimir Putin flew to Alaska to meet President Trump, and they had a face-to-face meeting. That was on August 15th. Now, some say that the reason why Vladimir Putin did this was just to pretty much show the United States that he's willing to talk and he's willing to negotiate, but he needs time. Others say, and this is what Pentagon officials were concerned with, is that President Trump was just being played, and that Vladimir Putin was simply trying to delay the inevitable, which President Trump, according to reports, would like to send these Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine because this would push Russia out. That was the goal. That was the plan. Now, with Russia conducting these nuclear drills, that could be a sign of what Russia is attempting to do. I want to read you something, okay? Listen to this. It says, if Russia is emphasizing nuclear readiness, which they are, it may influence how the United States calculates its own commitments to European security, NATO allies, and Ukraine. Right now, if Russia is showing that they are ready for a nuclear war, this isn't the road that the United States wants to go down. We do not want to provide a Tomahawk cruise missile to Ukraine, because if they use it, and this is the concern, is it may not even need to be used, but just by them having it in their possession, this could be an escalation of war from Russia's point of view. And that's not something President Trump wants. especially right now that we are seeing more conflicts here around the United States, specifically with Venezuela and now Colombia. The other day we learned that President Trump, he allowed CIA action in Venezuela. Colombia was a little bit upset, and President Trump called out the president of Colombia as well. And what he's saying is that Colombia isn't off the hook either. Colombia is one of those countries that is concerning to the United States because of the amount of drugs coming from there. Well, over the past month or so, we've seen the United States shoot 7 boats out of the water in the Caribbean alone. But today, things started to change because today was the first time that the United States has struck a boat out of the water in the Pacific Ocean. Not in the Caribbean. This is in the Pacific Ocean. That is what the reports are indicating. So right now, there's a huge concern that the United States is in multiple conflicts at the same time, but we may not have enough military personnel in order to pretty much hold off all these other countries. Think about it. If we are going to a regional war with Venezuela and Colombia, that's concerning. But what's even more concerning is that Russia is now escalating things by doing these drills. I want to read a little of this to you. Look at this. It said the Kremlin said that as part of the maneuvers involving all parts of Moscow's nuclear triad, a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile was test-fired from the Plesetsk launch facility in northwestern Russia, and a Sineva ICBM was launched by a submarine in the Barents Sea. The drills also involved Tu-95 strategic bombers firing long-range cruise missiles. The exercise tested the skills of military command structures, the Kremlin said. The chief of the military's general staff, General something, reported to Putin via video link that the drills were intended to practice procedures for authorizing the use of nuclear weapons. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why are they doing that at this time? Well, they're doing that to ensure that they are ready. There's nuclear readiness. That's the key here. And you're probably thinking, well, the United States doesn't do that. Why would they do that at this time? Well, just to give you an idea, today is October 22nd. According to reports, the last time the United States did a U.S. missile launch, okay, it was done by the Navy. It was an unarmed Trident II D5LE missile, and it came off of a submarine off the coast of Florida. This happened on September 17th, okay? September 17th of this year. So about a month ago, the United States did a nuclear readiness drill as well. So just so you know, it's not just Russia that's doing this, but based off all the things that we've been seeing, some are saying that Russia is concerned that the United States is eventually going to give these Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine. If they do, that would be an escalation of war. And what we've also heard is that Russia doesn't have the capabilities to fight the United States, but they could potentially, bluff their way into the United States backing off. This could be one of those ways, just to show that they have the ability to strike anybody using nuclear missiles. So, we'll see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of today. This is a huge escalation, according to some. Others say that we just need to be prepared for what may come. So, we'll see what's going to happen, but as we get more information, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates as soon as we get it. But as of today, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.